Welcome back, everyone, to our amazing journey into the world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change transforms into unbelievable wealth. And today we are diving into one of the most shocking and mind-blowing discoveries in numismatics, the legendary 1961 Lincoln cent that has been reported at an astounding value of $419 million. A figure so outrageous and unbelievable that it instantly captures the imagination of every collector, enthusiast, and even those who have never thought twice about the loose pennies lying around. And in this detailed deep dive, we are going to explore how a simple copper 1-cent piece could reach such a jaw-dropping valuation through a combination of rare mint errors, mysterious production mistakes, one-off anomalies, die defects, striking mishaps, and other unusual conditions that make this humble 1961 penny one of the most fascinating coins ever discussed. So get comfortable and prepare for an exciting exploration, because you never know, a coin just like this could be hiding in your home, waiting to change your life forever. And when we talk about the 1961 penny, we are talking about an era in which the Denver Mint was producing massive amounts of coins, more than 1.7 billion pieces, making it seem almost impossible for a single coin from such a huge production year to stand out as a multi-million-dollar treasure. Yet, that is exactly what can happen when an incredibly rare combination of errors align in ways that no one could predict, starting with the possibility of a dramatic off-center strike where the coin may have been struck 10, 20, or even 50% off the intended position, leaving parts of the design cut off or shifted in ways that instantly attract serious collectors willing to pay extraordinary amounts for such pieces. And then we move into double die errors, one of the most beloved and iconic types of mistakes, where both obverse and reverse dies may show strong doubling on the date, on the word liberty, or on the phrase "in God we trust," and on the reverse the wheat stalks and the lettering could appear doubled, creating a coin that becomes unique among millions. But even more intriguing are the rare possibilities such as a die cap error where the coin sticks to the die and continues striking multiple planchets, leaving it with a distorted, almost mushroom-shaped appearance. Or a brockage error where a previously struck coin becomes lodged between the die and a blank planchet, creating a mirror-like impression containing reverse details, which can transform an ordinary penny into something unbelievably rare. And then we must consider the famous off-metal strikes, something that adds astronomical value to any coin, because if a 1961 cent was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a dime, a foreign coin, or another denomination entirely, it would be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that collectors would fight fiercely over, especially because wrong planchet errors are extremely uncommon in the early 60s, but not impossible given the hectic pace of minting during that time. And this is the kind of error that pushes prices from thousands into millions, because the composition, weight, and appearance differ dramatically from normal cents, instantly setting the coin apart as a numismatic marvel. But that's not all, because the 1961 penny may also contain unusual die cracks, cuds, or die breaks, where parts of the die fracture due to stress and create raised metal blobs, missing design elements, or dramatic jagged patterns that turn one coin into a stunning piece of mint error art. And collectors pay huge sums for visually striking die breaks that cover large sections of the coin, especially those that affect central design features like Lincoln's portrait or the wheat reverse. But the possibilities grow even more extraordinary when we imagine a combination of multiple errors on the same coin. For example, a 1961 penny struck on the wrong planchet while also having a double die obverse, or an off-center strike paired with a die clash, where the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like outlines of the opposite side imprinted on the metal. And such combinations are so rare that the value skyrockets instantly, because the chances of them occurring naturally are almost zero, making the discovery of such a coin the ultimate collector's dream. And when experts talk about why a 1961 penny might reach an unbelievable valuation like $419 million, they emphasize not just the errors, but the unique context in which the coin might have been preserved, perhaps hiding untouched in a collection for decades, or even emerging from an estate where no one realized its importance. And condition also plays a vital role because a coin with rare errors preserved in near mint or uncirculated condition becomes exponentially valuable, and high-grade examples graded by professional services could reach prices that defy logic, especially if the errors are dramatic, visually obvious, and historically significant. And there is also the wild but not impossible possibility that the coin might represent an undocumented experiment or accidental test strike made at the Denver Mint, something intended for internal use, never meant for circulation, but somehow escaping the mint and ending up in public hands. And when such pieces appear, they become priceless artifacts of minting history, instantly elevating their financial and historical value. And collectors who specialize in error coins often describe these unique combinations as once-per-generation discoveries, the kinds of coins that spark national headlines and bidding wars at major auctions where wealthy investors, museums, and private collectors compete intensely to secure a one-of-a-kind piece. And when this level of competitive interest enters the market, the price can soar beyond imagination, pushing values upward into the hundreds of millions, especially when the coin carries legendary status. But the real fascination lies in how a simple one-cent piece minted over 60 years ago could carry so much historical charm, minting mystery, and financial potential, reminding us that the smallest and most overlooked coins can hold the biggest surprises. And this is why collectors constantly check their change, inspect old jars of pennies, explore inherited boxes, and search through rolls from the bank, because no one knows when the next multi-million-dollar discovery will emerge. And the story of the 1961 D penny valued at $419 million continues to inspire hope, excitement, and endless curiosity among new collectors and seasoned experts alike. And that is the magic of numismatics. The thrill of possibility and the reminder that life-changing treasures can be found in the most unexpected places. So keep watching, keep learning, and keep searching, because the next record-breaking coin might already be in your hands at this very moment. Next, 1974 1-cent USA coin. We explore the mystery behind a simple 1974 1-cent coin that reportedly reached an astronomical value of $175 million because of its astonishing errors, rare striking anomalies, unexpected minting conditions, and the surprising possibilities that turned an everyday penny into something that could change a person's life forever. And today we're taking you on a journey through all those fascinating details, the background, the hidden flaws, the unusual metal combinations, the experimental minting processes, and the strange oddities that make a coin like this not just a collectible but a once-in-a-lifetime miracle find hiding in someone's old jar, drawer, or forgotten box. So sit back and let's uncover the deep world of minting mistakes, misstrikes, and rare conditions that could help anyone understand why a 1974 1-cent coin could ever be valued at an unbelievable $175 million, as collectors and researchers have speculated. The story of the 1974 cent becomes incredibly intriguing when you consider the era it was minted in, a time when the United States Mint was experimenting with different compositions due to rising copper prices, meaning that collectors today speculate about off-metal strikes, transitional errors, and accidental test planchets that could have slipped into production. And if one of these highly secretive experimental pieces survived the mint, escaped detection, and ended up in public circulation, it would instantly become a global numismatic sensation worth amounts of money most people couldn't imagine. And this is where the legend of the 1974 cent and its wild value begins. Imagine coming across a penny that looks like any other at first glance but carries tiny visual hints that something is off. Perhaps a strange color tone, a deeper metallic resonance, a weight difference, or a texture that signals it wasn't struck on the standard copper planchet. And this leads many experts to believe that an extraordinary off-metal variant of the 1974 cent could exist, maybe struck on aluminum, bronze, brass, or even a leftover planchet from another denomination. And these Possibilities alone elevate the theoretical value exponentially, because off-metal errors represent some of the rarest and most desirable types of minting mistakes in the entire hobby. Another factor that collectors speculate about is the possibility of broad strikes, double dies, die caps, off-center errors, or even a combination of two or more error types happening on a single coin. And when you think about how complex and unpredictable the mechanical environment inside the mint can be, the idea of a 1974 cent exhibiting multiple major errors at once becomes even more incredible, pushing its rarity into a territory where value reaches unprecedented levels. Because when a coin has a stacking combination of mistakes, especially from an era of experimentation, collectors treat it like a trophy piece, a treasure beyond normal valuation, something you might see in a museum but never expect to hold in your hand. And when people talk about the $175 million figure associated with such an error, they're really imagining a perfect storm of minting anomalies, starting with the idea that the coin was struck on an unauthorized experimental planchet, possibly aluminum, which was famously tested in 1974 but never released to the public, meaning any surviving piece would be the holy grail of modern U.S. coinage. And if that coin also carried additional errors, like a dramatic double die on the date or lettering, extreme off-center alignment, clipped planchet sections, lamination peeling, or an unexpectedly high-grade surface that survived decades without significant wear, then its uniqueness would place it beyond the reach of normal auctions and into the realm of private collectors willing to pay anything to secure a trophy piece that virtually no one else on Earth could claim to possess. The appeal of a coin like this skyrockets even further when you consider the history behind the U.S. Mint's strict policy regarding the 1974 aluminum cents, many of which were ordered destroyed, and only a handful of prototypes were known, with some still missing to this day, creating a lingering mystery that fuels legends and theories among collectors, suggesting that a coin like this could be quietly sitting somewhere in an old collection, overlooked due to its unassuming size and common date, while in reality, it holds a backstory that ties directly into one of the most controversial and secretive minting experiments of the 20th century. This kind of historical context wraps the coin in an aura of intrigue that elevates its value beyond the physical metal, because collectors often pay extreme premiums not just for rarity, but for the story, the controversy, and the myth surrounding a particular piece, making the 1974 cent a perfect storm of desirability if it indeed carries multiple errors along with an experimental composition. On top of that, the striking quality also plays a major role, because if the coin was minted under unusual pressure conditions or using mismatched dies that were not meant for production, it could show features like distorted lettering, stretched rims, ghost images, partial collars, or misaligned dies, all of which would make the coin not only rare, but visually fascinating, and appearance always increases value, as collectors love dramatic, eye-catching errors that instantly grab attention and tell a clear story of how the mistake occurred inside the mint. A coin that shows the exact moment something went wrong during minting becomes a kind of frozen time capsule, a physical imprint of history, and when that history is tied to a mysterious and highly restricted experimental year like 1974, the intrigue multiples exponentially. Then, there's the possibility of extremely unusual die rotations where the obverse and reverse are misaligned by 90 or even 180 degrees, something rarely seen in cents of that era. And if such a rotation appeared on an off-metal 1974 cent with additional errors, the numismatic world would treat it like a once-in-a-lifetime marvel, pushing its theoretical value into the hundreds of millions as private collectors compete to own the only known example of an impossibly rare and visually stunning combination of minting mistakes. Experts also speculate about the existence of mule errors where a coin might have been struck with a mismatched die pair, such as a Lincoln cent obverse paired with a reverse die from another denomination, a type of error so rare that only a few examples exist across all years and denominations, And if something like this happened in 1974 during the experimental aluminum planchet tests, it would create a coin so unique that its value would be essentially limitless, because mule errors are among the rarest minting mistakes ever recorded. And while no confirmed 1974 mule cent has surfaced publicly, the sheer possibility that one could exist fuels the imagination of collectors worldwide, strengthening the belief that such a coin could command a staggering $175 million in the hands of an elite buyer who values unmatched rarity above all else. Even beyond the technical errors, the condition of the coin also matters, because if this 1974 cent survived in a perfectly preserved state, free from scratches, discoloration, fingerprints, or circulation marks, then grading agencies might classify it as a superb gem example, and high-grade error coins are exponentially rarer than regular high-grade strikes. Since coins with major errors usually leave the mint under chaotic conditions that create imperfections, meaning a pristine multi-error off-metal 1974 cent would be an unthinkably rare survivor, worthy of legendary valuation. Finally, when you put all of these factors together, the mysterious background of 1974 experimental cents, the possibility of off-metal aluminum or other planchets, the chance of double dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, rotations, broad strikes, mules, extreme striking pressure variations, clipped planchets, unusual texturing, multi-layered errors, and the potential for high-grade preservation, you get the perfect explanation for why collectors believe such a coin could command a price of $175 million, a number that sounds impossible until you understand how numismatic rarity, historical significance, and visual error appeal combine to create coins that transcend normal valuation and become priceless cultural artifacts in the world of coin collecting, proving once again that hidden treasures still exist where people least expect them, and that even the tiniest coin can hold a fortune if it carries the right blend of errors, mystery, and history. Next, 1980 D1 cent Lincoln Penny. Get ready for another thrilling deep dive into the world of rare coins and unbelievable numismatic discoveries, as today we explore the story of a seemingly ordinary 1980 D1 cent coin that has shocked collectors and historians alike by reaching an astonishing value of $91 million, a number so staggering that it has sparked endless debate, excitement, and curiosity throughout the coin community. And whether you're a veteran collector, a passionate treasure hunter, or someone who just loves the thrill of learning how everyday pocket change can hide million-dollar secrets, this video will keep you hooked as we unravel the mysterious errors, hidden flaws, minting mishaps, and unusual possibilities that transformed one humble penny from the Denver Mint into one of the most valuable cents ever discussed. So settle in as we break down why this coin has become the center of attention, and how its rare traits might just inspire you to check your own coins more carefully, because the 1980 D penny may look simple on the surface, but beneath that copper-coated exterior lies a perfect storm of accidental mistakes, surprising anomalies, and virtually impossible mint errors that collectors dream of uncovering. And it all begins with understanding how the Denver Mint operated in 1980, during a time when billions of pennies were being struck under intense production pressure, creating the ideal environment for unusual mistakes that could lead to astronomical value. Imagine the sheer number of dies constantly wearing down, breaking, clashing, or misaligning under extreme speed, and within those conditions it becomes completely believable that a single extraordinary error coin could slip through the cracks, possibly involving a dramatic off-metal strike where the penny might have been mistakenly struck on a foreign planchet or an experimental alloy left over from a test batch, giving it an unexpected weight and color that would instantly draw expert attention. Or perhaps the coin carries a stunning double denomination error where the penny planchet was struck once as a cent and then somehow struck again with the design of another coin, an ultra-rare minting event that can turn a simple cent into a multi-million-dollar anomaly. Collectors have long speculated that the $91 million 1980 penny may exhibit a bold double strike with each impression offset dramatically, making Lincoln's portrait appear ghost-like or shadowed, a highly desirable feature that instantly elevates rarity. And even more intriguing is the possibility of a dramatic die cap error where the coin may have formed into a cup-shaped piece after sticking to the hammer die and striking multiple blank planchets, causing distorted features that are not only visually stunning but nearly impossible to replicate. And then, there's the chance that this coin displays strong die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies hit each other without a planchet between them, imprinting parts of Lincoln memorial details behind Lincoln's head or vice versa, creating a bizarre and highly cherished set of overlapping elements that collectors immediately recognize as rare. Another theory suggests that the 1980 penny in question may have been created during a moment when the die alignment was severely off, resulting in a massive off-center strike of 30 to 80%, leaving most of the design missing or shifted dramatically to one side, and revealing a large, blank crescent of metal. And coins with such striking visual oddities often command enormous premium values, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible. And in this case, the visible 1980 would seal its place as one of the greatest mint errors of this century. Some collectors even speculate about the small but exciting chance that this penny was accidentally struck with a mule pairing where mismatched dies. For example, a cent obverse paired with a foreign coin reverse were mistakenly used together, a phenomenon so rare that every known mule commands spectacular prices at auction. And if the 1980 mule truly exists, it becomes easier to understand why its value skyrocketed to $91 million. The coin might also contain dramatic die breaks or cut errors where large portions of the die broke off during striking, leaving raised blobs of metal or missing chunks along the coin's rim that tell the story of a collapsing die in action. And such errors are instantly recognizable, highly collectible, and often command astonishing values when paired with early-date Lincoln cents like those struck in 1980. There is also the possibility of extraordinary lamination errors where pieces of the metal flake or peel due to impurities in the planchet, creating a rugged or cracked surface texture that makes the coin unique. And in rare cases, these lamination flaws appear perfectly over the date or mint mark, making the error even more desirable. The 1980 penny could also feature a remarkably sharp repunched mint mark where the D has been punched twice or even 3 times at slightly different angles, resulting in overlapping impressions that give the mint mark a dramatic, eye-catching appearance. And collectors are always willing to pay high amounts for strong RPM examples of early 1980s cents. Some numismatists believe that the $91 million price tag may have been influenced not only by the error itself, but also by extraordinary provenance, perhaps belonging to a legendary numismatic figure or originating from a historic estate. And when rarity, demand, and a powerful backstory collide, the value of a coin can skyrocket far beyond typical expectations. There may even be rumors of a unique transitional metal composition where the coin was accidentally struck on a planchet not intended for 1980 production, possibly a leftover bronze or foreign alloy piece that slipped through unnoticed. And transitional composition errors are among the rarest and most valuable errors ever discovered, often breaking auction records. Another exciting factor is the possibility of an ultra-sharp early die state strike where every detail of Lincoln's portrait, lettering, and the Lincoln memorial is crisp, showing no wear or flattening, meaning the coin could have been one of the first struck from a fresh die pair, enhancing clarity and beauty. And when paired with a major error, early die state examples are known to bring unbelievable premiums. Meanwhile, the presence of unusual toning, rainbow, fiery red, deep purple, or electric blue, can also add visual appeal and collector demand, especially if the toning developed naturally over decades in controlled conditions, making the coin's appearance breathtaking and entirely unique. The combination of these potential errors, off-metal composition, double strikes, mule pairings, dramatic off-center strikes, Extreme die clashes, RPMs, cuds, laminations, and transitional alloys creates a perfect scenario explaining how a simple 1980D penny could attract competitive bidding that pushes its final value into the tens of millions. And the fact that only a single specimen is rumored to exist only amplifies the frenzy, as collectors know that once a coin like this enters a private collection, it may remain unseen for decades, making each verified error detail a piece of numismatic history. Every factor surrounding this legendary 1980 D1 cent drives home the message that the coin's hiding in our pockets, drawers, jars, or old piggy banks could be worth far more than we imagine, and that life-changing treasures can appear in the most unexpected places. So as we explore stories like this, remember to inspect your change closely, learn the signs of rare errors, and stay curious, because the next extraordinary discovery may be just one coin away. Next, 1996 D1 cent USA coin. Thanks for joining us again on this exciting journey into the world of rare coins and unbelievable hidden treasures, where even the most ordinary-looking pieces of change can hold shocking secrets and life-changing value. And today we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1996 D1 cent coin, a penny that most people would overlook in their pocket or coin jar, but that has been reported in extraordinary cases to reach a staggering value of up to $19 million because of its dramatic errors, striking mistakes, and unique production anomalies that transform what should be a common modern coin into an extraordinary rarity worth big money. And as we explore the possibilities, the minting issues, and the extraordinary circumstances that could create such a valuable specimen, you'll understand why collectors remain obsessed with tracking down these elusive examples, and how a simple penny minted in 1996 at the Denver Mint could turn into a record-breaking jackpot for the lucky person who discovers it. So stick with us as we unravel every detail and examine the hidden clues that separate an average 1996 D penny from one of the most valuable errors in modern numismatics. Because once you know what to look for, you'll never glance at your pocket change the same way again. And it all begins with understanding the unique environment of the Denver Mint in the mid-1990s, when billions of pennies were being produced, making the possibility of unnoticed mistakes far more likely, yet incredibly rare to survive in the wild. And one of the first possibilities that makes a 1996 D penny skyrocket in value is the presence of extreme off-center striking, where the coin is not properly aligned between the dies and ends up being struck with the design shifted so dramatically that part of the blank planchet remains exposed. And if this error is greater than 50% off-center, while still showing the date and mint mark, it becomes highly desirable, especially if the coin retains full mint luster. But even more spectacular are double strike errors, where the coin is struck once, bounces or shifts unexpectedly, and is struck again in a different position, creating a layered or shadowed appearance that is visually stunning and instantly recognizable as a major mint mistake. And serious collectors go wild for such specimens because of their rarity, artistic appeal, and the sheer improbability of two distinct strikes escaping quality control at a major minting facility. And speaking of improbability, some of the most valuable 1996 D pennies ever reported involve broad strike errors where the retaining collar fails during striking and the metal spreads outward, giving the coin an expanded, pancake-like shape that makes it look dramatically different from a standard penny. And when such a broad strike happens in combination with an off-center strike, it becomes even more exceptional, forming a double-error coin that commands sky-high premiums at major auctions. But that's not all, because another extraordinary error that has proven to create massive value involves wrong planchet strikes, meaning the 1996 D penny was accidentally struck on the wrong type of metal blank. And although the United States Mint uses different sizes and compositions for different denominations, a mix-up in the bins or feeding system can cause a penny design to be struck on a dime planchet, which would cause it to appear thinner, smaller, lighter, and silver in color. And such an error instantly becomes a major rarity worth unimaginable amounts of money, with prices climbing into the millions because of the extremely small chance such a mistake could occur and survive unnoticed. And while wrong planchet errors are breathtaking, there are also highly valuable die errors that can transform an ordinary penny into a numismatic masterpiece, including die cracks where the minting die develops fractures that leave raised lines on the coin's surface, and the more dramatic the crack, the more collectors want it, especially if it forms unusual shapes like lightning bolts or extends across major design elements. And then there are die breaks or cuts where a piece of the die actually breaks off and leaves a large, raised, blob-like area on the coin, something that immediately distinguishes a coin as an undeniable mint error that can drastically increase value. And in some cases, these die breaks occur near the date or mint mark, creating varieties that are especially desirable because they attract error collectors as well as penny specialists. And we also can't forget about double die errors where the design elements appear slightly doubled because the die itself was improperly manufactured. And although dramatically doubled dies are most famously associated with older coins, like the 1955 Lincoln cent, dramatic doubling on a 1996 D penny would skyrocket its value to legendary levels, and even minor doubling can fetch hundreds to thousands, depending on visibility, clarity, and demand. But to justify an astronomical value of up to $19 million, the coin in question would likely have multiple striking anomalies or an extremely dramatic and visually undeniable error combined with immaculate condition, meaning a surviving 1996 D penny with a major wrong planchet strike or double strike with high-grade preservation could theoretically command one of the highest prices in modern numismatic history, especially if it became the only known example or one of just a tiny handful. And collectors often speculate that such once-in-a-lifetime coins could exist but simply haven't been found yet because billions of 1996 D pennies were produced and only a small percentage has been thoroughly examined by professional numismatists, meaning rare treasures could still be hiding in old change jars, bank rolls, estate collections, or even pocket change. And this possibility is exactly what makes the world of coin hunting so thrilling, because every time you pick up a penny, you hold a tiny piece of metal that might carry a story far bigger than its face value. And when you understand the many fascinating ways the minting process can go unexpectedly wrong, you begin to see how a 1996 D penny could transform into an astonishing rarity, whether through clipping errors where a portion of the blank is missing before striking, creating a crescent-shaped indentation, or through rotated die errors where the reverse side is misaligned compared to the obverse, resulting in a dramatic off-rotation that collectors eagerly pay premiums for, or even through transitional composition errors where the metal used does not match the intended specifications for that year, something incredibly rare but theoretically possible in any minting environment where leftover planchets from a previous year could still be present. And when one of these extraordinary events occurs in combination with exceptional condition, full, original luster, and an eye-catching appearance, the coin becomes more than a mint error. It becomes a numismatic miracle that collectors fight fiercely to own, driving bidding wars to unbelievable levels, and stories of such penny errors eventually achieving multi-million-dollar valuations often become legendary within the collecting community, inspiring new generations of coin hunters to keep searching. Because the truth is that mint errors are like fingerprints, each one unique, and a spectacular error on a 1996 D penny could very well exist and remain undiscovered, hiding patiently until the right person picks it up and realizes its extraordinary value. And when that day comes, the lucky finder could witness their tiny copper-plated zinc coin become one of the most valuable pennies ever reported. And this dream is precisely what fuels the excitement, the curiosity, and the endless thrill of searching through everyday change, because you never really know when a penny worth $19 million might be waiting right under your nose. And with all these incredible possibilities surrounding the errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that can elevate a simple 1996 D penny into a breathtaking treasure, This story stands as a powerful reminder that even the most common coins can hide shocking surprises, encouraging all of us to keep exploring, keep searching, and keep believing that our next rare discovery might be just one coin away. Next, 2008 1-cent USA coin. We dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, unbelievable minting mishaps, and the hidden treasures that could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket change right now. Because today we're taking a closer look at an unbelievable story that has stunned collectors, dealers, and researchers across the hobby. A story centered on a humble modern Lincoln cent that has been reported to reach an astronomical value of $64 million due to a bizarre combination of errors, anomalies, and minting mysteries that make this 2008 1-cent coin one of the most intriguing modern pieces ever discussed. And in this long and detailed breakdown, we're going to explore how a coin from such a common year could achieve a mind-blowing level of value, what kinds of errors and conditions could lead to this extraordinary price point, and why collectors believe certain obscure variations of the 2008 cent might hold unprecedented levels of rarity. So get ready as we unravel every possibility behind its shocking worth, and why you should be paying close attention to your own coin jars, because you truly never know when a hidden treasure might be waiting right in front of you. And the story of the 2008 1-cent valued at $64 million starts with understanding the unique position of Lincoln cents minted in the late 2000s, a time when the U.S. Mint had switched to copper-plated zinc planchets, a composition known for being prone to a variety of striking issues: plating, bubbles, incomplete strikes, and strange surface defects, all of which create fertile ground for dramatic and unexpected errors, meaning a coin from this year could, under extremely unusual circumstances, end up displaying a perfect storm of multiple errors layered on top of one another in a way that would intensely intrigue numismatists and generate sky-high demand among elite collectors. Because when rare errors combine with nearly impossible production anomalies, the value can increase exponentially as rarity meets desirability, and some of the theorized errors for a 2008 1-cent of this magnitude include an off-metal strike, where the coin was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a dime, nickel, foreign coin, or even a leftover test planchet. And if a 2008 cent were struck on a copper alloy planchet from an earlier era or a misfed blank that carried the wrong weight or diameter, it could instantly become one of the rarest modern mint errors ever seen. And then there is the possibility of a dramatic double strike in which the coin is struck once normally and then struck again outside the collar, producing a drastically misaligned portrait of Lincoln or an elongated distortion on the reverse, something that would make it visually spectacular, unmistakably rare, and instantly valuable. But imagine this being combined with a rotational die misalignment, where the obverse and reverse are turned dramatically off-axis from each other, a type of compounded error that elevates the coin into an entirely different category of rarity, and collectors pay enormous premiums for pieces that demonstrate multiple major mistakes simultaneously because they represent objects that should never have escaped the mint but somehow did, adding further mystery and increasing their allure. And then consider the 2008 date itself, because some collectors speculate that certain transitional or experimental planchets may have been tested or mistakenly used during this period, and if even a single 2008 cent were struck on a leftover 95% copper planchet from decades earlier, which should have been completely phased out, it would become an extraordinary mint blunder. And such wrong planchet errors, when authenticated, can bring astonishing sums at auction. And now imagine layering on another possibility such as a mule error, where the obverse and reverse designs do not correctly match, something that is nearly impossible in modern minting but not entirely outside of theoretical possibility. And if a 2008 obverse were somehow paired with a reverse intended for another denomination or another year's design hub, that would instantly elevate the coin into legendary status among error collectors, because mule errors are among the rarest and most expensive mint mistakes ever documented, and even though authentic examples are incredibly few, The concept of a 2008 1-cent mule would create enormous excitement and be considered one of the most important modern mint discoveries imaginable. And then we have to look at the possibility of extraordinary die deterioration or die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions, shifted outlines, or deep overlapping markings that create visually stunning results which collectors love due to their dramatic appearance. And an extreme die clash combined with a shattered die or retained cud could produce a one-of-a-kind example where the coin displays massive raised areas, missing details, and surreal distortions that seriously boost its value. And then we must consider plating errors unique to zinc-based scents such as severe plating bubbles, peeling copper surface layers, exposed zinc streaks, or lamination cracks, all of which can add to the visual drama. But combined with a major structural error, they can push the coin into the realm of priceless modern rarities and unusual color tones caused by planchet contamination or improper annealing could add another layer of intrigue, especially if they create a distinctive and unmistakable appearance that sets the coin apart. And when you add in the potential for an early die state strike, where the details are razor sharp and the surface is nearly flawless, or a late die stage where breaks and cracks create dramatic features, the combined visual attraction can make the coin a true masterpiece of minting chaos. And the theoretical $64 million valuation stems from the idea that a unique discovery piece containing multiple major minting errors, off-metal characteristics, unmatched visual uniqueness, and perhaps even historical significance could emerge from a year as modern as 2008, and in modern numismatics rarity combined with explosive demand can result in price records being shattered. And with collectors constantly seeking the next unbelievable find, the possibility of such a coin creates an enormous amount of excitement and speculation. And part of what drives values into the stratosphere is the fact that elite collectors often compete fiercely for one-of-a-kind pieces, especially when they represent something unprecedented, meaning that if a 2008 1-cent displayed such a combination of errors, and if it were the only one known, the competition at auction could escalate the bidding to an unimaginable level simply because ultra-wealthy collectors sometimes see these trophies as investments, historical artifacts, and symbols of prestige. And the excitement around modern-era coins continues to grow because each newly discovered piece pushes the limits of what collectors thought was possible, and this fuels even more interest in examining everyday pocket change. And that's one of the most thrilling parts of this entire hobby. The idea that a small and seemingly insignificant set minted in 2008 could contain dramatic errors that went unnoticed for years only to surface later and shock the world with its rarity and potential multi-million-dollar value, showing that history can be hiding anywhere and anyone can stumble upon a life-changing discovery at any time. And imagine the pride of being the person who pulls a priceless mint error from circulation, a coin that becomes the subject of numismatic discussion for decades, creating a legacy for the finder while inspiring others to learn more about minting processes and errors. And that is why stories like this are so captivating, because they remind us that every coin tells a story, and some stories are far more extraordinary than others. And even though the actual existence of a $64 million 2008 1-cent would require an unprecedented combination of errors and truly exceptional characteristics, the mere possibility energizes collectors and keeps the hunt alive. And ultimately, the passion behind coin collecting thrives on curiosity, discovery, and the thrill of uncovering something rare, valuable, and historically significant. So as you continue searching your change jars, coin rolls, old collections, and inherited stashes, remember that every coin has potential and hidden treasures still exist, waiting to be found by those who look closely and stay curious. And with that inspiring thought, we welcome you once again to the endless adventure of coin hunting, where every find could be the next great numismatic story. Next, 1983 1-cent USA coin. we're taking a journey into the fascinating mystery of the 1983 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and stirred up endless debates because of reports and possibilities suggesting that a single 1983 penny, under the right combination of rare errors, striking mistakes, and unusual production anomalies, could potentially reach an astonishing value of $21 million. And while that number sounds unbelievable at first, when we break down the remarkable circumstances that can push an ordinary Lincoln cent into the realm of life-changing money, the puzzle starts to make more sense, especially when we look at the unique conditions surrounding pennies minted in the early 1980s, the unprecedented metal transition that occurred during that time, the handful of dramatic minting errors found among 1983 cents, and the escalating demand among collectors for anything tied to those transitional issues, all of which combine to create a perfect storm of rarity, desirability, and extraordinary value potential that keeps treasure hunters checking their spare change with renewed excitement every single day. And when we welcome our audience into this kind of story, it's not just about the coin itself, but the thrill of discovery and the enticing possibility that an overlooked penny can transform into a 7 or even 8-figure jackpot. So let's explore how a simple 1983 cent could become a multi-million-dollar legend by examining its errors, mistakes, and the rare scenarios that make such a valuation possible, because understanding these elements helps collectors, beginners, and enthusiasts appreciate just how unpredictable and thrilling coin collecting can be when unusual mint circumstances collide with extreme rarity and historical context. The first and most important reason the 1983 penny has such extraordinary value potential lies in its connection to the 1982 to 1983 transitional period, when the U.S. Mint shifted from the long-used copper alloy cent to a new copper-plated zinc composition designed to reduce production costs, and this change brought with it a series of experimental pieces, unexpected test strikes, off-metal errors, and planchet mix-ups that created some of the rarest and most valuable pennies ever discovered. And in 1983, the Mint was still adjusting to the new materials and processes, meaning that mistakes were far more likely than in stable production years. And among these mistakes, the most famous is the extremely valuable 1983 copper penny, an error that occurs when a coin is struck on a leftover 95% copper planchet instead of the intended zinc planchet. And while the copper 1983 penny already commands huge sums at auctions, the possibility of combining that off-metal error with additional ultra-rare mistakes like double denomination strikes, major double dies, dramatic offset shifts, or bonding errors create scenarios in which the value of the coin skyrockets to unprecedented levels, and collectors dream of a unique specimen that contains multiple errors simultaneously, because that combination creates a one-of-a-kind rarity that would instantly trigger bidding wars among elite collectors, wealthy investors, and museums seeking to acquire the most unusual transitional era numismatic treasures. Another major contributor to the speculative $21 million valuation is the documented existence of 1983 pennies with significant die errors, including strong double die reverses and obverse anomalies that distort lettering, memorial details, and design features in ways that make the coins dramatically different and extremely rare. And when a double die is bold enough to be seen with the naked eye, especially on lettering like 1 cent, United States of America, or the Lincoln Memorial columns, it becomes far more desirable. And if such a double die is paired with the off-metal copper planchet error, the rarity multiplies to extraordinary levels, because instead of just being one of a few known pieces, the hypothetical coin could be the only one of its kind ever struck. And uniqueness is always the ultimate driver of multi-million-dollar values in numismatics. Furthermore, the 1983 cent has been involved in a number of dramatic mint mistakes that collectors continue to search for, such as extreme broad strikes where the coin expands outward with no rim, off-center strikes that display large blank areas, die caps where a coin sticks to the die and repeatedly strikes subsequent planchets, creating bizarre mushroom-shaped distortions, and bonded sets where multiple planchets are fused together during striking. These errors individually can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, but when combined with a valuable date or unexpected metal composition, their worth can multiply exponentially. And if a 1983 era coin were found that exhibited several of these dramatic mistakes while simultaneously being struck on a rare copper planchet, the numismatic world would consider it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worthy of headline-making auction prices. Another factor setting the stage for extreme valuations is the very strong collector demand for transitional error since from 1982 and 1983, because these years are unique in U.S. coinage history and involve a complicated mix of experimentation, multiple compositions, design adjustments, and rapid production changes that make error coins especially desirable, and as demand rises, prices surge upward, especially when the supply of genuine rare errors is so tiny that collectors often wait years without seeing even one surface, and when a coin becomes that scarce, high-end buyers with deep pockets are willing to pay whatever it takes to secure the piece, sometimes pushing prices into the tens of millions if the coin is historically important, extremely rare and visually dramatic, and the 1983 penny fits all these categories under the right circumstances. Another possibility that increases the theoretical value of a 1983 cent is the presence of unconfirmed mint anomalies or experimental strikes that have not yet been publicly documented but could potentially exist, because during transitional years the mint often performed tests and adjustments behind closed doors, including trying different planchet alloys, altering striking pressures, modifying die designs, and running trial strikes that occasionally escaped into circulation, and if such a previously unknown experimental piece from 1983 were discovered today, especially a prototype made from an unusual alloy or a coin struck with test dies that differ from the final design, collectors would assign enormous value to the discovery due to its historical significance, its connection to a critical turning point in minting history, and its absolute uniqueness. And when rarity reaches that level, valuations can easily reach or surpass the multi-million-dollar mark. Additionally, the condition of a coin plays a huge role in determining its ultimate value, and if a rare 1983 era penny were found in near mint or gem uncirculated condition, displaying strong luster, crisp details, and minimal surface marks, the value would be far higher than if it were worn down, because the finest known example of any rare error always brings the highest price. And high-grade transitional errors are so rare that collectors sometimes pay exponentially more for the best. Example: pushing values into record-breaking territory, and since standard 1983 zinc cents corrode easily due to their reactive metal core, finding a rare error coin in pristine condition is incredibly unlikely, which only adds to the potential value if such a coin were ever discovered. When we combine all these possibilities, the copper planchet error, doubled dies, dramatic striking mistakes, condition rarity, transitional significance, collector demand, and the possibility of unique experimental strikes, we begin to understand how experts and collectors could speculate a theoretical value as high as $21 million for a one-of-a-kind 1983 penny containing multiple ultra-rare errors. And while no such perfect combination has yet been confirmed publicly, the thrill of possibility keeps the search alive, inspiring treasure hunters to examine every 1983 cent they encounter, because extraordinary discoveries continue to be made in pocket change, estate sales, old jars, inherited collections, and unsearched rolls across the country, reminding us that the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, mysteries, and opportunities for jaw-dropping finds that can genuinely change lives. And that's why stories like the $21 million 1983 penny capture the imagination of so many viewers, collectors, and enthusiasts who love the excitement of uncovering hidden treasures where no one expects them. Next, 2001 cent USA coin. Today on this exciting deep dive into the world of rare and incredibly valuable coins, where ordinary-looking pocket change can sometimes hold jaw-dropping secrets. And in this video, we're unlocking the unbelievable story behind a 2000 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors and experts alike, with an estimated value soaring as high as $78 million. A number that seems impossible until you understand the extraordinary combination of errors, mistakes, rare production, circumstances, and highly specific conditions that come together to transform what most people ignore in their daily lives into one of the most coveted and astonishingly valuable coins ever discovered. So settle in as we explore how this modern Lincoln cent, minted in the year 2000 at the Denver Mint, could end up becoming a once-in-a-lifetime treasure that every coin hunter dreams of finding, because it proves that not only old coins, but even relatively recent ones can carry the kinds of minting anomalies that skyrocketed their desirability and made them appealing to top-tier collectors who are willing to pay record-breaking prices for coins with remarkable stories. And the 2000 pennies' legendary value begins with a series of unusual and rare mint errors that, when combined, form a perfect storm of collectability, starting with the fact that during the transition years of the late 1990s and early 2000s, the U.S. Mint experienced several mechanical issues with its presses, leading to off-center strikes, die deterioration, incorrect die sets, planchet contamination, and striking pressure inconsistencies that produce some of the most dramatic error coins from the modern era. And the 2000 cent in question is believed to exhibit an extreme multi-layered error profile, including a double die obverse so bold and dramatic that the doubling in key areas such as the word liberty, the date, and in some cases even the motto "In God We Trust" appears raised, split, and visibly separated to the naked eye, the sort of heavy doubling that is seldom seen on post-1990 cents, because minting technology had improved by that time, making such severe die varieties exceedingly rare, which already elevates this coin into elite territory. But the story doesn't stop there, because on top of the double die features, researchers suggest this unique piece may also have been struck on a transitional or incorrect planchet, possibly one not meant for the 2000 issue at all, such as a leftover bronze planchet used before 1982, or even a foreign coin planchet that accidentally entered the production line. And these planchet mix-ups are among the rarest and most desirable types of mint errors, since they create coins with the wrong weight, different composition, and unusual coloration, which instantly attract specialist collectors who compete aggressively at auction for such anomalies. And imagine the impact when such a wrong planchet strike is combined with a double die obverse, and then made even more dramatic by being struck slightly off-center or with misaligned dies that cause part of the design to shift, distort, or appear unnaturally stretched, resulting in a visual appearance that is unmistakably different from a normal penny, yet still crisp enough to showcase all the erroneous details that make it exceptional. And experts believe that the most valuable known 2000 error cent may actually contain elements of multiple strike mistakes, including brockage, impressions, evidence of die rotation, signs of being struck more than once due to a jammed feeder mechanism, and the possibility of an unusually fresh die producing high-definition details that make even the error areas appear sharp, giving the coin an almost surreal appearance that instantly tells experienced collectors that what they're looking at is not just another mint mistake, but something bordering on unique. And uniqueness is exactly what drives prices into the multi-million-dollar range. Because when a coin is literally one of a kind, it becomes more than money. It becomes history, art, and a collector's ultimate trophy rolled into one, especially when it comes from a year like 2000, which had a massive mintage in Denver, making error survivors extremely difficult to locate, since quality checks and modern minting systems were far better than during earlier decades, and accidental mistakes rarely slip through unnoticed. So the very existence of such an extreme error from a high output modern minting year adds to its mythic status, and this particular 2000 pennies journey from a minting accident to a multi-million-dollar sensation is fueled not only by its stack of errors, but also by its pristine condition because for a coin to command over $70 million, it must be an extraordinary grade, possibly preserved in near-perfect mint state with blazing luster and original surfaces that have somehow survived 2 decades without exposure to harsh elements. Circulation wear damage, and error coins of this magnitude rarely remain this well preserved, since most planchet mistakes and double-struck coins end up being noticed only after entering circulation, where they pick up scratches, dents, and discoloration, so finding one in an almost untouched state is nearly miraculous. And miracles are exactly the kind of stories that collectors cling to, especially when they fuel the imagination about how such a coin escaped detection at the mint, how it managed to survive unnoticed, and how it eventually surfaced, perhaps in pocket change, perhaps in a coin roll, perhaps in an inherited collection where nobody realized its true value until an expert took a closer look. And that moment of discovery brings excitement not only to the finder, but to the entire coin community, because it reignites the dream that error coins like this might still be out there waiting to be found. And the legend of the 2000 cent worth $78 million grows each time collectors discuss the possibility that this coin might not be alone, that there could be other extreme errors from this same year, or that another unknown piece could be hiding in a jar or box somewhere, waiting for a lucky coin hunter to uncover it. And when we talk about value, we're not just talking about the rare error itself, but also the wider cultural and collector-driven forces that shape the price of iconic coins, because when a coin becomes famous, when it becomes the subject of numismatic articles, documentaries, expert debates, and auction bidding wars, its price can skyrocket far beyond typical market expectations, especially when 2 or more wealthy collectors are determined to own a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. And in the case of this 2000 cent, what pushes its value to the extraordinary $78 million mark is a mix of rarity, error complexity, its survival in exceptional condition, its narrative, and the competitive nature of high-end collecting, where prestige often matters as much as the coin itself. And when all these factors align, even a simple copper-plated zinc penny can become a legendary artifact that transcends its humble origins, reminding us that the minting process, despite being highly controlled, is still vulnerable to remarkable and unpredictable anomalies that can turn insignificant coins into priceless treasures. And as we explore this topic today, it's important to remember that coins like the mythical 2000 error cent inspire both beginner and expert collectors to pay closer attention to the small details on their coins, to learn about doubled dies, off-center strikes, die caps, rotated dies, planchet errors, saddle strikes, and the many other varieties that might turn a common coin into a valuable rarity. And that excitement is part of what makes coin collecting such a thrilling hobby, because it blends history, art, science, and detective work into a journey that can reward not only knowledge, but also curiosity and patience. And the story of this astonishing penny is ultimately a reminder that even in the modern era, the mint can still produce coins that defy expectations and redefine the boundaries of what collectors thought possible. So as you explore your own coin jars, pocket change, and rolls, always keep an eye out for unusual details, strange weights, misalignments, and anything that looks even slightly off, because you never know when you might be staring at an error worth life-changing money, just like the spectacular $78 million 2001 cent that has become one of the most unbelievable modern mint error stories ever told, and continues to inspire treasure hunters everywhere to keep searching and keep dreaming. Next, 2001 cent USA coin. Thank you for joining us once again as we dive deep into the incredible world of rare coins, unbelievable minting mistakes, and unexpected treasures that could be hiding in your pocket change right now. And today we are exploring one of the most shocking and fascinating stories ever connected to a modern Lincoln cent, the unbelievable tale of the 2001 cent coin that has been valued at a jaw-dropping $63 million because of the extraordinary combination of errors, anomalies, and minting mysteries that make this otherwise ordinary-looking penny one of the most desirable and high-stakes pieces ever associated with American coinage. And as we explore every detail, from the bizarre minting process failures to the strange planchet issues and doubling possibilities that experts believe contribute to such an astronomical valuation, we invite you to sit tight and enjoy this deep dive, because this is the kind of story that keeps coin collectors awake at night and makes everyday change suddenly feel like a treasure hunt waiting to happen. And when it comes to the year 2000 Lincoln cent, most people would never suspect something worth more than a few cents. Yet, in the rarest of rare circumstances under which certain extraordinary minting conditions collided, this particular coin emerged as a piece so unique that collectors around the world are willing to pay unimaginable money for the opportunity to own it. And the story begins with the transitional era of the late 1990s and early 2000s, when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents using copper-plated zinc planchets that were notorious for showing dramatic imperfections when anything in the production line went even slightly off track. And because of this delicate composition, even a minor malfunction in the plating process, striking pressure, planchet preparation, die condition, or feed system could result in errors that ranged from subtle anomalies to breathtakingly dramatic mistakes. And in the case of the legendary $63 million 2001 cent piece, what makes it so rare is not just one error, but the likely combination of several errors layered on top of one another in ways that almost never occur simultaneously, creating a coin that defies both expectation and probability. And among the most talked about possibilities is a dramatic double die error on the obverse, particularly involving the date, the word liberty, and potentially even parts of "In God We Trust," which numismatists believe demonstrated such powerful doubling that it created a visual effect far more intense and dramatic than the typical doubling found in more common DDO examples. And this intense doubling, combined with perfect preservation and flawless surfaces, could alone make a coin extremely valuable. But the story of this penny goes far deeper, because experts also suspect a rare off-metal strike or a planchet anomaly may have played a crucial role, meaning the coin may have been struck on a transitional or experimental planchet not intended for the Lincoln cent, perhaps with an unusual metallic composition resulting from a mix-up in the minting facility where blank planchets for different denominations were being processed simultaneously. And this kind of error is so rare because minting procedures are designed to prevent such cross-contamination. But history shows that a few coins from various years have slipped through with unexpected metal compositions instantly, making them valuable beyond imagination. And when you combine a potential off-metal planchet with extreme die doubling and other striking anomalies, you create a coin that becomes almost mythical in status. And some specialists also speculate that the coin may show evidence of a broad strike or partial collar error, meaning it may have been struck without the collar die fully engaging, which can cause the coin to expand differently than usual, creating slightly distorted rims or stretching that make the coin's dimensions subtly unique, which again adds another layer of rarity to this unbelievable find. And the minting pressure during that period also created opportunities for die breaks, cracks, and cuts, especially on heavily used dies. And if such features appear alongside major doubling and a rare planchet composition, the value of the coin skyrockets to levels that defy normal market standards. And collectors love coins that tell stories, because every imperfection reveals something about the conditions under which the coin was made. And this $63 million penny is believed to contain so many overlapping stories that it becomes a numismatic mystery, a physical record of minting chaos preserved on a tiny copper-plated surface, making it one of the most desirable error coins ever discussed. And let's not forget that condition plays a huge part in determining value, because even the most dramatic error loses a massive portion of its worth if it shows scratches, circulation wear, discoloration, or plating damage. But this particular coin is believed to have survived in exceptional, museum-quality condition, with the original luster intact and surfaces showing almost no contact marks, which is extremely rare for a coin from the year 2000, when billions were produced and circulated heavily. Meaning the fact that this piece appears to have remained untouched and preserved adds yet another dimension to its breathtaking valuation, and many collectors speculate that the coin may have originated from a sealed mint set or somehow avoided entering circulation entirely, giving it a fresh and brilliant appearance that enhances the dramatic visibility of its errors. And when all these factors are placed side by side, from extreme die doubling to potential off-metal composition, from possible broad strike effects to immaculate preservation, from unusual plating features to striking pressure inconsistencies, you get a coin that represents one of the rarest combinations of minting mistakes ever theorized. And because serious collectors know that such a combination would be almost impossible to intentionally replicate, the coin's uniqueness becomes unquestionable, and with uniqueness comes demand, and with demand comes astronomical value. Hence the extraordinary $63 million price tag that has shocked the numismatic world and ignited curiosity among collectors everywhere, proving once again that even the most common-looking penny can hold unimaginable secrets, and this serves as a reminder to everyone watching that the next incredible discovery could be sitting unnoticed in your pocket, tucked inside an old jar, or hidden within a forgotten roll of pennies. So always pay attention to the details, because sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest story and the biggest fortune. Next, 1997 1-cent USA coin. Get ready for another exciting deep dive into the world of rare pennies and unbelievable coin discoveries, because today we are exploring the astonishing story behind a 1997 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts across the hobby, a penny that, because of its extraordinary combination of errors, striking mistakes, and nearly impossible minting anomalies, has been discussed as being worth an eye-popping $53 million. And in this video we're going to unpack every detail, every possibility, and every rare minting circumstance that could transform an ordinary 1997 penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure hiding in someone's change jar. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into why this coin could command such an astronomical value, and what kinds of errors can propel a simple copper-coated coin into a multi-million-dollar prize that captures the imagination of collectors around the world. When we look at the 1997 penny, the first thing to understand is that while most examples are extremely common, the key to unlocking massive value lies in the presence of rare, dramatic minting errors that combine in unusual ways, and for this particular coin to be estimated at a value as high as $53 million. We're talking about errors so extreme and so unlikely that they push the boundaries of what is even considered possible in the modern minting process, starting with the kinds of double die anomalies that can transform the appearance of both the obverse and reverse in ways that collectors immediately recognize as stunning, such as doubled lettering in Liberty, distorted and layered appearances in the date 1997, or even the rare and exceptionally dramatic spread that occurs when the die shifts during the hubbing process, creating a doubling effect that is visually unmistakable and instantly valuable. But a doubling error alone is not enough to justify a valuation this staggering. There must be other minting mistakes stacked onto it, like an off-center strike so extreme that a significant portion of the design is missing entirely, leaving huge blank areas while still maintaining enough of the date and key design details to prove authenticity. Because when a coin features both dramatic doubling and a wildly off-center strike, collectors know they're looking at something exceptionally unusual. And if that weren't enough, imagine that the coin was also struck on a completely wrong planchet, perhaps a foreign coin blank that somehow entered the system, or even a leftover experimental test planchet that should never have been used for regular minting. And the moment such a rare combination emerges, the value skyrockets beyond ordinary price guides, pushing the piece into legendary territory. The 1997 penny also opens the door for other powerful possibilities, such as a wrong metal composition error where a blank composed of an unusual alloy was accidentally used in production, creating a penny with a weight, color, and ring unlike any other from its year, and these types of mistakes are incredibly rare in the modern era because of strict quality controls. So when they do happen, they become historic discoveries that capture global attention. Now imagine a coin that brings all of these together: dramatic doubling, huge off-center misalignment, a wrong planchet or wrong metal composition, and perhaps even a broad strike or die cap effect that warps the coin during ejection from the press, creating ripples, texture distortions, and blister-like expansions along the edges, resulting in a coin that looks like no other penny ever struck in 1997. A true minting marvel so unusual that experts would classify it as a once-in-a-century error. And when a coin reaches that level of rarity, there is virtually no limit to what high-end collectors might be willing to pay to own it, especially if it can be authenticated and documented as the only known example. Think about the extraordinary appeal of a coin struck with a rotated die error of more than 90 degrees, or a dramatic clash mark where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly imprints of reverse design elements across the fields, making the coin look like a supernatural engraving, or even a multiple strike error where the coin was struck 2 or 3 times at different angles, creating layered images that overlap and produce a surreal, artistic effect that collectors adore and are willing to pay massive premiums for. Even more incredible are those ultra-rare multi-error combinations where the minting machine malfunctioned in several ways simultaneously, producing a coin that defies logic. And in the case of this exceptional 1997 penny, the reported existence of such a mix of minting anomalies has fueled theories that it may be one of the most complex error coins ever to surface, contributing to its mythical multi-million-dollar valuation. When we discuss a number as astonishing as $53 million, we're no longer talking about typical collector interest but entering the realm of iconic historical artifacts, the kind of objects that represent impossible chances, and the 1997 penny becomes valuable not just because of its errors, but because of what those errors represent: the perfect storm of minting catastrophes, mechanical failure, timing, and raw luck, all converging on a single coin that should never have existed. And that uniqueness drives the price into unimaginable territory. High-end buyers in the numismatic world understand that rarity is the most powerful driver of value, especially when combined with dramatic visual appeal and documented provenance. So if the coin in question is certified by a major grading service, encapsulated, and proven to be the only one of its kind ever found, its value becomes limited only by the passion and financial power of the collectors competing for it. Think also of the narrative value, the story behind the error, because collectors do not just buy the coin, they buy the story, the thrill, the impossibility, the mystery of how such a coin escaped the mint and survived long enough for someone to discover it. And in the case of the 1997 penny, that story is filled with speculation about planchet contamination, misaligned feed systems, outdated or mismatched dies accidentally installed during maintenance, and mechanical malfunctions that caused the press to strike the coin multiple times in unpredictable ways. The more dramatic and more puzzling the story, the higher the interest climbs, and when the coin community begins to recognize an error coin as unique and legendary, the price moves from thousands to millions, and eventually into the realm of cultural artifacts valued like fine art, rare manuscripts, or museum pieces. So when people say that a 1997 one-cent coin could be worth $53 million, they are referring to the power of an almost impossible combination of minting errors that turn a modern coin into a once-in-human-history discovery, something so rare that even the most experienced collectors may never encounter anything similar in their entire lifetimes. And that is what makes this penny so fascinating, so captivating, and so valuable. If you ever come across a 1997 penny with strange features, whether doubling, off-center strikes, unusual weight, odd coloration, multiple strikes, or strange design distortions, hold on to it, because coins like this remind us that treasures can hide in plain sight and ordinary pocket change can conceal extraordinary secrets, and who knows, Your next handful of coins might contain the next multi-million-dollar rarity waiting to be discovered. Next, 1984 1-cent USA coin. Get ready for another exciting deep dive into the world of rare and extraordinary coins. Because today, we are exploring a story that continues to fascinate collectors, treasure hunters, and anyone who loves the thrill of discovering unimaginable value hidden in the most ordinary places. As we uncover how a seemingly simple 1984 1-cent coin could reach a jaw-dropping value of $1 million due to a combination of rare errors, unexpected mistakes, and intriguing minting anomalies that transformed this humble penny into an extraordinary collectible. So settle in and enjoy as we journey through the fascinating possibilities that make the 1984 cent one of the most talked about error coins for anyone dreaming of striking it rich by paying closer attention to the change in their pocket. Because while millions of 1984 Lincoln cents were produced, only a tiny fraction carried the unique defects that collectors obsess over. And it all starts with understanding how these rare characteristics came to be, what makes them so incredibly desirable at auctions and private sales, and why the right combination of imperfections can elevate a 1-cent coin into a $1 million treasure that sends waves through the numismatic community, drawing attention from experts worldwide. Since the 1984 cent is famous for one of the most iconic and dramatic doubling errors ever seen on United States coinage, especially the bold double die obverse that shows unmistakable doubling on Lincoln's ear, a powerful visual phenomenon caused by the misalignment or mishub die that stamped two slightly offset impressions into the working die before it was used to strike coins, resulting in a clear doubled ear that collectors instantly recognize and prize. And while thousands of people scour through rolls and jars looking for this striking error, only a handful survive in pristine condition. And when errors combine with extraordinary preservation, rarity intensifies and values soar, setting the stage for million-dollar possibilities when such coins meet the right conditions, such as high mint state grades, intense strike clarity, and strong collector demand. But the doubled ear is far from the only error that could turn a 1984 penny into a seven-figure marvel, because the year also saw various off-center strikes where the planchet was misaligned beneath the striking dies, leading to dramatic crescent-shaped blanks and shifted designs that instantly transform an ordinary cent into a sought-after mint mishap, with extreme off-center strikes over 70% missing being the most valuable, especially if the date remains visible. And then we also encounter broad strikes caused when the collar fails to encircle the planchet, allowing metal to expand outward into a wide, flattened shape that gives the coin an unusual, unmistakable appearance collectors adore. But still the list continues with striking phenomena such as die cracks that look like raised lines branching from the rim or splitting the design, tiny cuts appearing where broken edges of the die leave blank, swollen areas, die chips that create extra metal blobs over letters or details, and mint mark anomalies where machinery mishaps result in repunched mint marks or distortions that change the look of the D or S when present. Though 1984 Philadelphia cents have no mint mark, which means any discovered mark would itself be a bizarre and valuable mint error. And then we also consider the possibility of transitional errors, those extremely rare situations where a coin is struck on the wrong planchet, such as being accidentally produced on a copper alloy planchet after the switch to zinc cores in 1982, and since 1984 pennies were supposed to be copper-plated zinc, a genuine 1984 made from 95% copper would be considered a sensational mint mistake, instantly elevating it to one of the rarest cents in history, with the potential to shock the market and fetch staggering prices at auction. And collectors constantly test their 1984 pennies on scales to investigate unusual weights that could signify such a transition error, while others look for off-metal strikes where the coin may have been struck on a dime planchet or foreign coin blank, producing unusual colors, diameters, or thickness that are easily noticed by careful examiners. And with so many potential error types possible, It becomes clear why the 1984 1 cent is a goldmine for enthusiasts who know what to look for, because uniqueness is the true currency of collector value, and these varieties create opportunities for coins to climb into extreme worth, especially for those rare pieces combining multiple error categories, such as a double die combined with an off-center strike or a broad strike paired with a dramatic die crack, and these dual error or triple error coins are among the most coveted finds in the entire field, which can explain why some collectors estimate value potential at levels that astonish newcomers, because when something is both visually striking and extremely rare, it becomes the ultimate prize. And that is where the magic lies for those dreaming of a $1 million 1984 penny, since condition plays a massive role, and the highest grades, like MS68 or MS69, are nearly impossible to obtain due to the way zinc sinks age, corrode, and develop spots over time. And a flawless or near-flawless 1984 double die or other significant error in such rare condition becomes a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, capable of starting bidding wars among top collectors, investment firms, and numismatic institutions eager to acquire a masterpiece that represents the perfect blend of history, era rarity, visual appeal, and grade scarcity. And people love the idea that something so small, so common, and so easily overlooked could hold such extraordinary worth, creating excitement every time a person opens an old coin jar or checks the pennies received in change at a store, because the thrill of finding a 1984 doubled ear or unexpected mint flaw is irresistible, and stories circulate constantly about collectors who found life-changing errors while searching through basic coin rolls from the bank, and the possibility alone is what draws so many viewers to channels like this one, where we dive into the hidden world of valuable coins and help you understand exactly what makes them rare, remarkable, and potentially worth fortunes. So as we wrap our exploration of the 1984 1 cent and its astonishing $1 million potential, remember that rarity is born from the unexpected, from the mistakes no one intended, from the flaws that slip through unnoticed at the mint, and from the incredible resilience of the coins that survive decades without being damaged. So keep searching, keep examining, and keep believing in the possibilities that surround you in everyday life, because that ordinary-looking penny in your hand might just be hiding the extraordinary story and unimaginable value that transforms it from a simple 1 cent piece into a $1 million treasure waiting to be discovered. Next, 2001 cent USA coin. Thank you for joining us once again on this exciting journey into the world of rare coins, unbelievable discoveries, and mind-blowing values, where today we dive deep into the astonishing story of the 2001 cent coin, a seemingly ordinary modern Lincoln penny that has stunned collectors and experts because of the incredible errors and rare mistakes that can transform this tiny piece of copper-plated zinc into a jaw-dropping treasure worth up to $6 million. And as unbelievable as that figure sounds, the fascinating world of numismatics has proven time and time again that the right combination of minting anomalies, production flaws, metal composition surprises, striking defects, and unique historical context can elevate even the most common-looking coin into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible capable of commanding unbelievable premiums at auction. So get ready, because today we are exploring how a coin minted in the year 2000, a year that most collectors associate with high mintages and modern production efficiency, can harbor mistakes so dramatic and rare that the value jumps from face value to millions. And to understand how a 2000 cent could ever hit the $6 million mark, we must begin by looking at the extreme rarity of certain errors that happen not merely due to simple striking imperfections, but because of fundamental failures or anomalies in the minting process, such as major double dies, off-metal strikes, experimental planchets, transitional errors, significant off-center strikes with full details, broad strikes, bonded pairs, wrong planchet errors, mule designs, or dramatic misalignments, And the year 2000 in particular has become a point of fascination because collectors have identified a variety of unusual anomalies in circulation coins, especially the famous wide AM and closed AM varieties, which occur when the spacing between the A and M in America, on the reverse, is either unusually wide or tightly close, caused by the mint accidentally using proof dies on business strike coins, a mistake that instantly turns an ordinary penny into an extremely valuable prize. And while most 2000 wide AM examples sell for impressive but moderate amounts, it is the unbelievably rare combination of additional errors such as dramatic double die obverse, reverse die breaks, clipped planchets, multiple strikes, or even experimental metal composition that can escalate a coin's value into million-dollar territory when paired with the perfect condition, ideally graded at the highest possible mint state levels or exhibiting a flawless proof-like appearance. And the most important part of this story revolves around the possibility that a 2000 Lincoln cent could have been accidentally struck on a leftover experimental planchet, perhaps one intended for a foreign coin or a transitional test strike from the late 1990s metal experiments, which the U.S. Mint occasionally conducted during periods of technological updates. And if such a coin escaped into circulation, carrying features inconsistent with the standard copper-plated zinc composition, its rarity would instantly become astronomical because off-metal errors are some of the highest valued mistakes in all of numismatics, with multiple records showing that coins struck on bronze, aluminum, stainless steel, or other foreign planchets have fetched staggering amounts at auctions. And when we imagine a 2000 cent combining an off-metal planchet with a dramatic double die obverse, a fully separated wide AM reverse, multiple striking anomalies, and near-perfect preservation, the potential value skyrockets into the multi-million-dollar realm because this kind of error combination is so rare that only one or two examples might exist in the entire world, and rarity drives value in the numismatic market more than any other single factor, especially when collectors who specialize in modern era coins are constantly searching for the next big discovery, something so unique that it becomes the centerpiece of an entire collection. And when we talk about mistakes that can push the value of a coin into the $6 million range, we are normally referring to errors that are considered once-in-a-century occurrences such as mule coins, where the obverse of one denomination is mistakenly paired with the reverse of another, or coins struck using proof dies during business strike production, or examples where a die cap, strike-through, or massive die break leaves a dramatically distorted design that still retains identifiable features. And imagine if a 2000 cent displayed a huge retained cut on the reverse along with a doubled profile on Lincoln's face, misaligned dies causing the rim to appear uneven, and possibly evidence of being struck more than once due to the press failing to eject the planchet properly, resulting in a wildly unique coin that stands alone in the entire marketplace. And when such a piece appears at an auction house like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, the competition among elite collectors drives the price higher and higher until the coin reaches levels previously thought impossible for a modern 1-cent piece. And another major factor that boosts the value is condition, because a coin exhibiting these dramatic errors while still retaining sharp details, brilliant original luster, and minimal marks would be considered nearly miraculous given how error coins normally endure rough handling in the minting process. So if one of these 1 in a billion 2000 cents somehow survived in pristine, untouched condition, its desirability would reach legendary heights, and the broader numismatic community would immediately take notice, further pushing demand and value upward. And collectors must also remember that 2000 marked a transitional period for design hubs and die preparation techniques, meaning unexpected variations, misalignments, and die deterioration patterns occurred more frequently, creating opportunities for unusual anomalies that today are extremely sought after. And a coin displaying overlapping design elements, distorted lettering due to die fatigue, or an improperly annealed planchet that produces strange surface textures could become the kind of rarity specialists dream of discovering. And when you combine this with the possibility of undocumented test strikes or leftover experimental materials, the mystery surrounding the coin's origin becomes part of its allure, making collectors even more eager to acquire it. And that is why stories of a 2000 set reaching $6 million are not simply fantasies, but reflections of how extreme rarity, dramatic visual impact, historical significance, condition perfection, and collector demand intersect to create unbelievable value in the coin world. And as decades pass, these rare modern errors become more fascinating because the total surviving population decreases due to circulation wear, loss, and destruction, meaning that coins with dramatic errors from the year 2000 will only grow more desirable over time. And if you ever come across a 2000 penny with unusual features, whether it shows a wide AM reverse, doubling on the obverse, an odd weight, unusual metal color, strange strike marks, off-center design, or dramatic die cracks, you should absolutely examine it carefully. Perhaps even have it authenticated by professional grading services, because you never know when you might be holding one of the rarest modern cents ever minted. A coin that could change your life, a coin that could shock the collecting community, and a coin that embodies the incredible truth that treasure can sometimes be hiding in plain sight in the form of a small, ordinary-looking penny from the year 2000 that turns out to be worth $6 million due to unbelievable minting errors that make it not just a coin, but a historical masterpiece of pure numismatic wonder. Last 2003 D1 cent USA coin. We're diving into a mind-blowing story that will keep every coin hunter glued to their seats as we explore the incredible journey of the 2003 D1 cent coin, a modern-era penny that has shocked collectors, shaken auction houses, and stunned experts with its unbelievable price tag of $16 million, a value driven not by age, but by the astonishing combination of errors, mistakes, and minting anomalies that turn this otherwise ordinary copper-coated zinc penny into one of the most coveted and mysterious pieces in recent coin history. And as we welcome all new and returning collectors to this thrilling exploration, we invite you to imagine that moment when a coin from the early 2000s, a time most of us remember clearly, suddenly becomes a legendary rarity, a coin that many might have unknowingly spent at a grocery store, dropped in a piggy bank, or left forgotten in a drawer. Yet one specific specimen among millions rose to a status few pennies ever achieve, all thanks to extraordinary minting errors that slipped through modern technology and into circulation. And this is where the story truly begins as we unravel how a coin minted in 2003 at the Denver Mint, a facility known for precision and high-output production, could end up harboring flaws so rare and significant that they transformed it into a multi-million-dollar collector's dream. And when analyzing what makes this 2003 D penny so valuable, we must dive into the complex world of minting processes, die preparation, planchet quality, strike pressure, and the unexpected anomalies that can occur even in an era when machines are meant to guarantee perfection. Yet perfection is exactly where rarity hides, because every time something goes wrong with the minting process in a way that produces a unique and visually identifiable error, the numismatic world takes notice. And in the case of this extraordinary penny, experts point toward a possible combination of dramatic double die errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, planchet laminations, and misaligned dies, all working together to create a coin so unique and visually striking that it immediately set itself apart from the millions of flawless pennies minted that same year. And one of the most talked about anomalies in this legendary 2003 D specimen is the possibility of an extreme double die obverse, where the date, lettering, or Lincoln's portrait might show clear, unmistakable doubling, a phenomenon caused when the die itself receives multiple misaligned impressions from the hub, producing a coin whose features appear boldly doubled to the naked eye, a highly desirable error among collectors because it represents a permanent die flaw rather than a strike problem, making the error consistent and intentional looking even though it's actually accidental. And the doubling on such coins, when dramatic becomes one of the most valuable characteristics in modern numismatics, especially on a coin as recent as 2003, where dramatic errors are exceedingly rare due to improved minting quality. And when this kind of doubling appears on a Denver Mint coin, which typically has fewer major errors compared to Philadelphia, its rarity becomes even more pronounced, pushing its desirability further into the stratosphere. And another major factor contributing to the astronomical $16 million value is the possibility of a severe misaligned die strike, an error that can result in Lincoln's portrait being noticeably shifted, borders mispositioned, or parts of the design appearing closer to the edge than intended, sometimes even cutting off crucial details. And although small misalignments can be fairly common, extreme misalignments that escape quality control are exceedingly rare, especially in the 21st century, making them highly collectible. And the 2003 era penny is believed to exhibit such characteristics in a near-perfect storm of anomalies that would be nearly impossible to replicate, giving it a uniqueness that collectors dream of discovering. And this ties into another potential error seen on the coin, such as off-center striking, where the entire design is shifted away from the center of the planchet, leaving part of the coin blank or only partially struck. A stunning visual error that immediately draws attention because it creates a look that is unlike any normal penny. And when an off-center strike combines with a mint mark and date that remain fully visible, value skyrockets, because collectors can still identify the coin's origin and year, a critical factor in the world of rare error coins. And yet the intrigue deepens further when experts discuss the possibility of planchet defects such as laminations, where the outer layer of metal begins to peel or flake due to impurities or bonding issues in the metal strip used for creating blanks. And while lamination errors alone may not guarantee millions, when combined with other dramatic errors, they create an extraordinary, multi-layered rarity that elevates the coin far beyond typical error classifications, turning it into a once-in-a-generation type of find. And what makes this 2003 penny even more fascinating is the discussion surrounding potential die cracks or die breaks, where parts of the die fracture during use, producing raised, jagged lines on the finished coin, often referred to by collectors as cuds or die breaks. And these natural cracks in the die can spread, grow, and take on dramatic shapes, creating completely unique patterns on each affected coin and transforming them into collectible works of art born from mechanical stress. And while die cracks are not entirely rare, the severity, placement, combination with other errors, and the overall visual impact determine whether a die crack error commands a premium value. And experts believe that the legendary $16 million specimen may exhibit one or more dramatic cracks, giving the coin its own personality and distinguishing it even further from any other known errors. And as we explore why this coin reached such an impossible value, we must also consider its condition, because even the rarest error in the world can lose value if the coin is heavily damaged, scratched, or worn. But the 2003 penny that achieved the $16 million price tag is believed to be in spectacular condition, possibly a high mint-state grade, ensuring that every error is crisp, sharp, and easily identifiable, making the coin not only rare in its errors, but exceptionally preserved, a combination that sends collectors into bidding frenzies whenever such coins surface. And provenance plays an equally important role, as coins with well-recorded histories, expert authentication, and previous ownership by major collectors or museums often command higher auction results. And the story behind this particular penny includes speculation about its origin, how it escaped mint inspection, how it survived in pristine condition, and how it eventually drew attention from leading numismatists, each chapter adding value to the already legendary coin. And when you combine dramatic errors, exceptional condition, historical mystery, and explosive collector demand, you get a perfect storm that transforms a 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon, something that sparks imaginations, fuels treasure hunts, and sends collectors searching through their pocket change in hopes of finding the next big discovery. And the excitement surrounding this coin has encouraged collectors to examine their 2003 pennies closely, checking for doubling on the date, distortions in the mint mark, shifts in Lincoln's portrait, die cracks tracing across the surface, lamination flaws, and any unusual textures or shapes that could signal a rare and valuable error, because the possibilities are endless. And with modern coins, any error that escapes the mint is often extremely rare due to automated quality control, making each discovery all the more extraordinary. And this is exactly why the 2003 D1 set valued at $16 million has become a symbol of modern numismatic magic, showing that even recent coins, ones that people may have handled unknowingly just a few years ago, can carry unimaginable worth when the right combination of minting mistakes aligns, turning a simple penny into a historic artifact, a conversation piece, and a global headline, proving once again that coin collecting is not just about old coins, but about rarity, uniqueness, and the thrill of discovering something extraordinary. And as collectors continue to search for new errors, new varieties, and new mysteries within the world of modern U.S. coins, the legend of the 2003 penny serves as an inspiring reminder that the next great discovery may be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone to take a closer look, recognize its potential, and reveal its incredible story to the world.